Okay, good afternoon. Now today we will see our practical. You are knowing that in our practical we have to design either gearbox or pressure vessel. Therefore, for our division, we are going to design pressure vessel. Therefore, already we have studied pressure vessel chapter. Again, I will revise the things so that this will be helpful to us while designing the pressure vessel. I will give you small project and we will solve that project during practical hours only. Therefore, again we will see the some theory related to pressure vessels. Therefore, this is to the left side of this slide. This is horizontal pressure vessel. It is mounted on these two saddle supports. These supports are there. This support is known as saddle support. If you will see, pressure vessel consists of this main tank, then it is closed by some heads. We have seen different types of heads: spherical head, then cylindrical head, elliptical, ellipsoidal head. Therefore, different types of heads are there. Semi-ellipsoidal ditched end. Like this, different heads are there. Now, pressure vessel consists of different things or different parts. First, pressure vessel is mounted on support. Horizontal pressure vessels are mounted on saddle support. This is the spherical towards right side. This is spherical pressure vessel. It is also mounted on supports. These are column supports. Also, some vertical pressure vessels are mounted on skirt support. That is there. Therefore, pressure vessel consists of different parts. First is end closures. End closures are different. Semi ellipsoidal dished end. Then spherical head is there. Then pressure vessel also consists of manhole or manway, so that human can enter inside the pressure vessel. Also, pressure vessel consists of nozzle. See that this is process nozzle. Then these are the lifting lugs, so that we can lift this pressure vessel by clamping hook here. Then this is galvanized cage access ladder. This is the ladder of the pressure vessel on the pressure vessel, so that a human or man can climb on this pressure vessel. This is horizontal pressure vessel. Now this is spherical pressure vessel. Now you are observing these ladders, so that human can move around this pressure vessel. Also human can climb on this pressure vessel. At the top it is manhole is there. Here at the bottom there may be nozzle. This is ladder. These are the vertical column supports are there. Again, same case. This is horizontal pressure vessel. It is closed by flat head. This end closure is flat head. Same things are there. These are the saddle supports. See here, tank support saddles. Since its length is more, that's why third saddle support is used. Earlier length is small, that's why two saddle supports are were there. Here length is more, that's why three saddle supports are there. Same things are there. Manhole. Then this product outlet flange. This is flange is there. Now next, another pressure vessel it is shown in figure. See that this is the support or foundation. This is the shell manway with davit arm. This is the arm. This is level switch pad. Again, indicator board contains gauge. This is this gauge may be used to measure the pressure inside the tank. These are the roof plates. These are the kicking flats. These side plates are known as kicking flats. This is vent with cage. This is roof handrails. This is handrails are there, so of circular shape. These are the shell plates. This is wind girder. Therefore, these are the different parts of the pressure vessel. These are the base plate. Then again, now see that these two are the vertical pressure vessels. Now this type of support is known as skirt support. Again, you see here, this is top stiffening ring. This is conical head is there. We have seen the conical head also. This is conical head or conical base. This is dished end at the bottom. Some nozzle type of arrangement is there. See that this is shallow dished top. These two are the vertical pressure vessels. This is manway. This is manway. Flanges, sockets, or pads as selected. Again, you see this is also another pressure vessel. This is inner tank shell. This is shell manway, David arm. This is outer tank shell. This is nozzle, vent box for cowl. This is safety hand drilling. This is roof manway, caged access ladder, process gauge flanges, double thickness base plate, outlet drain and process flanges. Now definition. What is meant by pressure vessel? Vessels, tanks and pipelines that carry, store or receive fluids are called pressure vessels. A pressure vessel is defined as a container with a pressure differential between inside and outside. The inside pressure is usually higher than the outside except for some isolated situations. Therefore, in our day-to-day life, we are observing these pressure vessels. If you are observing carefully, you may be observing that some LPG tanker is there, some milk tanker is there, then water tanker is also there. Therefore, all these tankers are there, which are containing liquid fluid. Fluid means liquid or gas, which is stored inside the container. That is known as pressure vessel. If you have seen dairy industry also, dairy industry or sugar industry. In case of sugar industry, whatever that juice is there, juice from the sugar cane, it is stored in crystallizer is there or economizer is there. Different instruments or different things are there in the sugar industry. Therefore, all these are used to store that juice of the sugar cane, and that is under pressure. Therefore, they are also called as pressure vessels. Also in dairy industry, if you have visited dairy industry, that milk is stored in a large container. Milk is stored in the large container. Therefore, that container is also known as pressure vessel. Therefore, pressure vessel means what? There is a pressure differential. Differential means what? Difference between inside and outside. Outside is atmospheric pressure. Inside pressure may be higher than atmospheric pressure or maybe lesser than atmospheric pressure. Now see that this is the vertical pressure vessel. Typical components of pressure vessel. This is skirt support. Skirt support is used only to support vertical pressure vessels. Vertical pressure vessel means what? Whose axis or the pressure vessel is symmetric about vertical axis. Horizontal pressure vessel means the pressure vessel which is symmetric about horizontal axis. Now this is inlet nozzle head. This is shell. Again this is head at the bottom. This is outlet collector. This is outlet nozzle. This is lower catalyst bed. This is catalyst bed support grid. The fluid inside the vessel may undergo a change in state, as in the case of steam boilers, or may combine with other reagents, as in the case of a chemical reactor. Pressure vessels often have a combination of high pressures together with high temperatures, and in some cases, flammable fluids or highly radioactive materials. Because of such hazards, it is imperative that the design be such that no leakage can occur. Now, day before yesterday, we have seen one news, or we have read news in the newspaper, and we have seen news on the television channel that in Nashik, that leakage of the oxygen was there from the tank. Therefore, whatever the tank was there, that tank is known as pressure vessel tank, because oxygen is stored inside the tank under pressure at minus 170 degrees Celsius, and that leakage was there, and you have seen that 24 peoples died because they have not received oxygen, because they were on ventilator, and also some persons are there, they are on oxygen. Therefore, this is nothing but hazard of pressure vessel. If some small leakage is there, therefore huge loss will be there. Therefore, because of such hazards, it is imperative that the design be such that no leakage can occur. Now, if you have read the newspaper, there was leakage from one nozzle of that tank. Therefore, once that afterwards that nozzle broke on, then oxygen came outside. Then what happened? You are knowing. Therefore, in addition, these vessels have to be designed carefully to cope with the operating temperature and pressure. It should be borne in mind that the rupture of a pressure vessel has a potential to cause extensive physical injury and property damage. Plant safety and integrity are of fundamental concern in pressure vessel design. Now, applications of pressure vessels: industrial compressed air receivers, domestic hot storage tanks, diving cylinders, that is scuba diving, recompression chambers, distillation towers, autoclaves in medical industry to sterilize oil refineries and petrochemical plants, nuclear reactor vessels, pneumatic and hydraulic reservoirs, storage vessels for liquefied gases such as ammonia, chlorine, propane, butane, and LPG. General materials used for the pressure vessels: steels, non-ferrous materials such as aluminum and copper, metals such as titanium and zirconium, non-metallic materials such as plastic, composites, and concrete, metallic and non-metallic protective coatings. Various materials have some typical characteristics as below: carbon steel, strength and moderate corrosion resistance; low alloy steels, strength at high temperatures; stainless steels, corrosion resistance; nickel alloys, corrosion resistance; copper alloys, sea water resistance; aluminum, light, low temperature toughness; titanium, sea water, chemical resistance; refractories, very high temperatures; non-metallic, corrosion and chemicals. Factors affecting selection of material. Factors affecting selection of material are as following. First, process fluids, that is, a plastic might be perfect for the fluid corrosiveness but will melt when the operators steam the equipment during cleaning. Then, operating temperature, operating pressure, fluid velocity, contamination of product, required life of the equipment, may choose to incur shorter life and replace more often. Then cost of the materials of construction, that is base material plus fabrication cost. Now you are knowing that in case of pressure vessel, different shells are there. Shell means that plates. Plates may be of maybe rectangular shape. Therefore, that plates we have to give them some shape. Therefore, for that fabrication is required. Therefore, if you will see, in case of pressure vessel, different plates are welded together. Therefore, this welding also comes into picture. Welding is fabrication while construction of pressure vessel or while manufacturing of the pressure vessel. Then classification of pressure vessels based on wall thickness, thin wall vessel, thick wall vessel, based on geometric shapes, cylindrical vessels, spherical vessels, rectangular vessels, combined vessels, based on installation methods, vertical vessels, horizontal vessels. Again, classification of pressure vessels based on operating temperature, low temperature vessels, temperature less than or equal to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Then normal temperature vessels between minus 20 degrees Celsius to 150 degrees Celsius. Then medium temperature vessels between 150 degrees Celsius to 450 degrees Celsius. Then high temperature vessels temperature more than or equal to 450 degrees Celsius. Then based on design pressure, low pressure vessels zero point 0.1 megapascal to 1.6 megapascal. Medium pressure vessels 1.6 megapascal to 10 megapascal. High pressure vessels 10 megapascal to 100 megapascal. Ultra high pressure vessels more than 100 megapascal. Then based on technological processes, reaction vessel. Reaction vessel you will find it in sugar industry. Then heat exchanger vessel. Heat exchangers are also there in dairy industry and sugar industry. Separation vessel, storage container vessel. Wherever process industries are there, there you will find pressure vessels. Process industry means dairy industry, sugar industry, cement industry. These are known as process industries. While our in general mechanical industries, you are knowing that they are known as product type of industries. You are knowing product layout and process layout. You may have studied it in industrial engineering. Now, what is difference between thin shell and thick shell pressure vessels? First criteria is thickness. In case of thin shell, thickness is less than 1/10 to 1/15 of diameter. Diameter d is nothing but inside diameter of the pressure vessel. Then thick shell, thickness is greater than 1/10 to 1/15 of diameter. Then second, internal fluid pressure. Internal fluid pressure P is less than 1/6 of the allowable stress. Internal fluid pressure P is greater than 1/6 of the allowable stress. Then application used in boilers, tanks and pipes. Used in high pressure cylinders, tanks, gun barrels, etc. Now stresses in a thin cylindrical shell due to an internal pressure. The analysis of stresses induced in a thin cylindrical shell are made on the following assumptions. The effect of curvature of the cylinder wall is neglected. The tensile stresses are uniformly distributed over the section of the walls. The effect of the restraining action of the heads at the end of the pressure vessel is neglected. When a thin cylindrical shell is subjected to an internal pressure, it is likely to fail in the following two ways. First, it may fail along the longitudinal section, that is circumferentially splitting the cylinder into two troughs. Second, it may fail across the transverse section, that is longitudinally splitting the cylinder into two cylindrical shells. Thus, the wall of a cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure has to withstand tensile stresses of the following two types. First is circumferential or hoof stress, and second longitudinal stress. Now first is circumferential or hoop stress. This is view of the shell. This is L means length, D is nothing but inside diameter, P is nothing but pressure, T is nothing but thickness, cross section of the shell. Consider a thin cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure as shown in figure. Tensile stress acting in a direction tangential to the circumference is called circumferential or hoop stress. In other words, it is a tensile stress on longitudinal section or the or on the cylindrical walls. Let P is equal to intensity of internal pressure, D is equal to internal diameter of the cylindrical shell, L is equal to length of the cylindrical shell, T is equal to thickness of the cylindrical shell, and sigma T1 is equal to circumferential or hoop stress for the material of the cylindrical shell. We know that the total force acting on longitudinal section, that is along the diameter x-axis of the shell, is equal to intensity of pressure into projected area, which is equal to P into D into L, equation 1. Also, the total resisting force acting on the cylinder walls for two sections is equal to sigma T1 into 2TL, equation 2. Equating equations 1 and 2, we have PDL is equal to sigma T1 into 2T into L. LL will get cancelled, therefore sigma T1 is equal to PD upon 2T. This is nothing but circumferential stress or hoop stress. Now longitudinal stress. This is view of the shell. Now if you will observe carefully, because of circumferential or hoop stress which is acting longitudinally, therefore failure of the pressure vessel takes place along the horizontal axis. Failure of the pressure vessel takes place along the horizontal axis. And in case of this longitudinal stress, failure of the pressure vessel takes place along the vertical axis. Failure of the pressure vessel takes place along the vertical axis because this stress is acting along the vertical axis. If you will see here, pressure P or stress. Consider a closed thin cylindrical shell subjected to an internal pressure as shown in the above figure. Tensile stress acting in the direction of the axis is called longitudinal stress. Longitudinal stress means horizontal stress. You see that this acting horizontally. In other words, it is tensile stress acting on the transverse or circumferential section YY or on the ends of the vessel. It is acting along vertical axis or transverse axis. Therefore, let sigma T2 is equal to longitudinal stress. In this case, the total force acting on the transverse section, that is along YY, is equal to intensity of pressure into cross sectional area, which is equal to P into pi by 4 d square, equation 1. Also, total resisting force is equal to sigma T2 into pi dt, equation 2. Therefore, equating equations 1 and 2, we have P into pi by 4 d square into sigma T2 into pi dt. Therefore, pi will get cancelled. D and D will also get cancelled. Therefore, remaining thing will be sigma T2 is equal to PD upon 4T. Therefore, this is nothing but longitudinal stress, formula of the longitudinal stress. Then thin spherical shells subjected to an internal pressure. This is the spherical shell. It's subjected to an internal pressure. This is thickness T. Consider a thin spherical shell subjected to an internal pressure as shown in figure. Let V is equal to storage capacity of the shell. P is equal to intensity of internal pressure. D is equal to diameter of the shell. Small t is equal to thickness of the shell. Sigma t is equal to permissible tensile stress for the shell material. Therefore, in designing thin spherical shells, we have to determine the diameter of the shell and the thickness of the shell. We know that the storage capacity of the shell V is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube. Therefore, V is equal to 4 by 3 pi into D divided by 2 bracket cube. Therefore, V is equal to pi by 6 D cube. Therefore, D is equal to 6V divided by pi raised to 1 by 3. As a result of the internal pressure, the shell is likely to rupture along the center of the sphere. Shell is likely to rupture along the center of the sphere. Therefore, force tending to rupture the shell along the center of the sphere or bursting force is equal to pressure into area, which is equal to P into pi by 4 d square. Also, resisting force of the shell is equal to stress into resisting area, which is equal to sigma t into pi dt. Therefore, equating equations 1 and 2, we are getting P into pi by 4 d square is equal to sigma t2 into pi dt. Therefore, sigma t2 is equal to Pd upon 4t. Now, next point is there types of end closures, because this end closures also have to design. Formed heads are used as end closures for cylindrical pressure vessels. There are two types of end closures. First is domed heads. Domed heads in that hemispherical, semi-ellipsoidal and toruspherical. And second is conical heads. Now hemispherical heads. Hemispherical heads have minimum plate thickness, minimum weight and consequently lowest material cost. However, the amount of forming required to produce hemispherical shape is more because we have to manufacture this shape. That's why this forming required is more, resulting in increased forming cost. The thickness of the hemispherical head is given by T is equal to pi Ri divided by 2 sigma T neta minus 0.2 pi plus Ca, where Ri is the inner radius of the cylindrical shell, Ca is the corrosion allowance, and neta is nothing but weld joint efficiency. Now, semi-ellipsoidal heads. In a semi-ellipsoidal head, the ratio of the major axis to the minor axis is taken as 2:1. The thickness of a semi-ellipsoidal head is given by T is equal to pi di divided by 2 sigma T neta minus 0.2 pi plus Ca means corrosion allowance. From the above equation, it is observed that the thickness of the semi-ellipsoidal head is more, almost twice, than the corresponding hemispherical head, and to that extent, the material cost is more. If thickness is more, therefore material cost will be more. That is obvious because increase in weight will be there. If thickness will increase in weight will be there. However, due to shallow dished shape, the forming cost is reduced. The length of the straight portion SF is given by SF is equal to 3 times thickness or 20 mm, whichever is more. Now, torus spherical heads. Torus spherical heads are extensively used as end closures for a horizontal pressure vessel such as tankers for water, milk, petrol, diesel, and kerosene. They are also used for small vertical pressure vessels. They are shaped by using two radius, crown radius L and knuckle radius Ri. Crown radius L and this knuckle radius. The crown radius L is the radius of the dish that constitutes the major portion of the head. The knuckle radius Ri is the corner radius joining the spherical crown with the cylindrical shell. Torus spherical heads require less forming than semi-ellipsoidal heads. Their main drawback is the local stresses at the two discontinuities, namely the junction between the crown head and the knuckle radius, and the junction between the knuckle radius and the cylindrical shell. The localized stresses may lead to failure due to brittle fracture. The thickness of a torus spherical head is given by T is equal to 0.885 pi into L divided by sigma T neta minus 0.1 pi plus Ca. The knuckle radius Ri is taken as 6% of the crown radius. Therefore, Ri is equal to 0.06 L. Now, last is conical head. The thickness of a conical head is given by T is equal to pi di divided by 2 cos alpha into bracket sigma t eta minus 0.6 pi plus ca, where alpha is the half apex angle. The half apex angle is usually less than 30 degree. Therefore, this t is nothing but thickness, di is nothing but inside diameter, du outside, alpha is nothing but half apex angle or semi cone angle. Therefore, this is nothing but initial introduction. Now, please let me write your roll numbers, those who are present. Please don't leave, otherwise, your attendance will not be marked. Two, four, five. Two, four, five, six, seven, eight, six, seven, eight, 11, 15, 15, 16, 17, 18, 15, 16, 17, 18, 2, 3, 5, 2, 3, 5, 4, 5, 8, 4, 5, 8, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 50, then 1, 5, 7, 8, 1, 5, 7, 8, 62 and 73, 62, 73. Okay, today we'll stop here. Again, in next practical, we'll see some theory, and afterwards, we'll solve the project, or we will see the project. Thank you very much. We'll stop here.